What if I told you that learning just a few kind of subtle English phrases could instantly elevate how professional you sound? Welcome to Speak in Style English. If you want to speak English naturally and confidently in everyday life, well, you're in the right place. In today's explainer, we're diving into some fantastic source material from The Art of Professional Eloquence to master useful English expressions you'll actually use in your everyday workplace conversations. So let's just dive right in. Have you ever hit send on a quick work email or maybe just finished speaking up in a big meeting and suddenly thought, oh man, did that sound a little too casual? Yeah, it's a super relatable situation for so many of us. When you're speaking with colleagues or managers or clients, you absolutely want your English to reflect your true level of confidence. You definitely don't want your brilliant ideas getting lost just because the phrasing felt, a bit too relaxed. So here's the really crucial takeaway right up front. True fluency and unshakable confidence, they don't come from memorizing huge dictionaries or trying to use overly complicated, confusing words. Not at all. Actually, small vocabulary tweaks create a massive shift in your professional presence. It's really all about being highly intentional with the everyday English you already know. All right, so let's start this eloquence upgrade for your daily communication. First up on our list, conveying empathy and truly hearing what your colleagues are saying. Imagine a colleague has just shared an important, maybe even slightly frustrating thought with you. How do we show them we truly hear them rather than making it sound like we're just passively brushing them off? Let's look at this expression. On the left, we have the standard go-to response, I understand. It's fine, but it can sound a bit flat, maybe a little rushed, or even dismissive. Now look at the right side. This right here is the professional upgrade. Listen to the difference. First, I'll read it slowly. I completely understand your perspective. Now let's try it at a normal conversational speed. I completely understand your perspective. Do you hear how much warmer and more professional that sounds? The real magic here lies in the word perspective. It literally means a particular attitude toward or wave regarding something, a unique point of view. By adding this single word, you aren't just saying you heard their words. No, you're actively validating their unique point of view. It instantly builds this bridge of respect between you and your colleague. It's a total game changer. Moving right along, let's look at handling workplace issues, specifically when dealing with mistakes. Picture this scenario. It's a super stressful moment. A client, or maybe your boss, has just pointed out an error in a massive report and it needs fixing right this second. When a mistake like that happens, how do we inspire confidence in the other person while we're right in the middle of solving it? Here's another useful phrase to transform that exact stressful moment. On the left, we have, we'll fix it. It's kind of casual and honestly slightly blunt. But on the right, we have a highly professional, totally reassuring alternative. Let's practice it together. First, nice and slow. Will address the issue promptly. And now, at a natural native pace, will address the issue promptly. See, it completely changes the tone of the entire conversation. And this brilliantly illustrates the power of specific vocabulary. Promptly simply means with little or no delay, immediately. So why are the words address and promptly such massive upgrades over just saying fix? Well, because they communicate control, urgency, and a really deep respect for the project's timeline. It tells the client or manager, look, I'm taking this seriously, I am fully in control, and I am on it. Now, let's keep that mini narrative going. The issue is addressed, and the colleague who actually made the error comes over to you to apologize. When someone apologizes for a mistake, how do we gracefully accept it without making the whole situation super awkward? Let's look at this next transformation. The casual left side is simply, that's okay, which is almost like a dismissive shrug of the shoulders, right? But the right side elevates your response entirely, slowly. That's perfectly acceptable. And at normal conversational speed, that's perfectly acceptable. It's a definitive, really graceful acceptance that closes the loop professionally and lets everyone move forward without any lingering guilt. All right, finally, let's talk about navigating meetings gracefully.
Imagine you're in a fast-moving, really complex meeting. Someone is speaking super quickly, but you absolutely need to interrupt to get some clarity on the data they're presenting. How do you interject politely without sounding abrupt, demanding, or, just rude?
Now, let's learn another common phrase upgrade. Over on the left, I have a question. It's a hard stop. It can feel like you're aggressively slamming the brakes on the whole meeting. But look at the right side. It creates this powerful psychological shift. Slowly, I'd like to ask a question. Normal pace. I'd like to ask a question. This really softens the interjection. It makes it an invitation for the speaker to pause, rather than a harsh demand, which keeps the meeting flowing smoothly and collaboratively. And that brings us to what might literally be the ultimate communication challenge. What if someone proposes an idea and we strongly disagree, but we really need to object without causing offense or damaging the relationship? This one is absolutely vital for your career. On the left, I don't agree. If delivered bluntly, this can instantly put someone on the defensive. But on the right, we protect the working relationship while strongly maintaining our stance. Listen to this. Slowly, I, respectfully, disagree. And now, with a confident, calm, conversational tone, I respectfully disagree. I really want to isolate the word respectfully here. It means acting with deference and regard for another's position. This single adverb acts like a shield. It tells your colleague that you value them as a professional, allowing you to rigorously debate the idea on its merits without ever attacking the person. It is just an incredibly powerful tool. Let's bring this all together by looking at the true power of intentionality. Let's quickly recap how these small, intentional changes stack up to create a massive impact. By tweaking just a few words, you can actively validate perspectives, address issues promptly, show graceful acceptance when things go wrong, interject politely, and disagree respectfully. Let's look at a very common phrase. It's difficult. Now, there is nothing grammatically wrong with this, but it kind of sounds like a roadblock, doesn't it? It sounds a bit like a complaint. Notice how shifting from the normal English, it's difficult, to the professional English, it's rather challenging, completely changes the tone. A challenge implies something that can be overcome, whereas difficult just sounds like a dead end. This new phrase sounds so much more diplomatic and growth-oriented. I'll say the professional phrase slowly first so you can hear the articulation, and then at a natural conversational speed. Listen closely. It's rather challenging. Now try it at a normal pace. It's rather challenging. Do you hear how smooth that sounds? Here's another useful topic: handling oversights gracefully. We are all human, and mistakes definitely happen. The key is how you handle those slip-ups. There is a massive psychological difference between these two phrases. Instead of the blunt, slightly childish, I forgot, using it appears I overlooked that, takes responsibility while maintaining a highly polished register. You see, I forgot sounds a little careless, but overlooked, that sounds like you're a busy professional managing a ton of data, and one small piece simply slipped past your radar. It really saves face. Let's practice. Listen to the slow pronunciation. It appears I overlooked that. Now, at a natural speed, blending the words together. It appears I overlooked that. Excellent. Now let's look at this expression for correcting mistakes gracefully. It's always a delicate situation when you need to point out a colleague's error without causing offense. Softening a harsh statement like, "that's wrong," into, "that doesn't appear to be accurate," keeps the workplace collaborative and open. Saying "that's wrong" feels like a personal attack, right? It immediately puts the listener on guard. By saying "that doesn't appear to be accurate," you're attacking the data, not the person. You're leaving room for a healthy discussion. Practice it slowly with me. That doesn't appear to be accurate. And now, flowing at normal speed. That doesn't appear to be accurate. Notice how calm and professional that sounds? Moving right along, let's talk about managing your schedule. You really have to know how to say no without actually using the word no. Saying, "my schedule is rather tight at the moment," sounds much more professional than a dismissive, "I don't have time." Honestly, "I don't have time" can easily be misinterpreted as, "you aren't important enough for my time." But by referencing your schedule, you're blaming an external factor. It's not that you don't want to help, it's literally just that the calendar won't allow it. It is incredibly effective. Let's try it slowly. My schedule is rather tight at the moment. Now conversational, just like a native speaker. My schedule is rather tight at the moment. Finally, let's learn another common phrase for keeping communication open.
Elevate the casual let me know to a refined please keep me informed to sound truly authoritative. Let me know is totally fine for casual chats with friends, but in a professional setting, please keep me informed establishes you as someone who is actively guiding the process. It shows real leadership and engagement. Listen closely to the slow enunciation, please keep me informed, followed by the normal pace. Please keep me informed. It is simple, clear, and highly professional.
Let's look at this first expression. We've all been there. You don't quite catch what someone said, or you just need more info. The default reaction is usually, can you repeat that? It's not wrong, but it can sound just a little bit blunt, like you weren't really paying attention. Instead, try this beautiful professional upgrade. Could you please elaborate? Let's practice that together. I'm going to say it slowly first so you can really catch the pronunciation. Ready? Could you please elaborate? Now let's try it at normal conversational speed, exactly how a native speaker would say it. Could you please elaborate?
So why does this upgraded phrase work so well? Well, to elaborate simply means to add more detail or explain something further. When you ask someone to repeat themselves, you're basically saying, I didn't hear you. But when you ask someone to elaborate, you're telling them, hey, what you're saying is so interesting and valuable, I really want to hear more details about it. It's incredibly polite, it makes the other person feel heard, and it immediately makes you sound so polished and engaged.
Here's another useful phrase for a really common scenario. Imagine a colleague pitches a thought. Our instinct is usually just to say, that's a good idea. Fine, but it's kind of basic, isn't it? Let's upgrade that to, that's an excellent suggestion. Let's try that slowly, noticing how the words naturally connect. That's a excellent suggestion. Now, let's say it naturally, with a bit of enthusiasm. That's an excellent suggestion. Hear the difference?
Picture this. You're in a high-stakes brainstorming meeting. Your team is trying to solve a problem, and a junior colleague finally speaks up with a fix. If you just shrug and say, that's a good idea, the energy kind of fizzles out. But if you look them in the eye and say, that's an excellent suggestion, wow, you instantly validate their contribution. This specific wording builds a culture of collaboration. It positions you not just as a participant, but as a leader who actually recognizes and encourages great work.
Now let's learn another common phrase, especially for when you're taking on new tasks. The go-to is usually, I'll do it, but listen to how much better this upgrade sounds. I'll take care of it. Let's pronounce this one carefully, really focusing on that tone of reliability. Slowly now. I'll take care of it. And now, at normal speed with total confidence. I'll take care of it. The psychology behind these words is absolutely crucial. I'll do it often sounds reluctant, doesn't it? It sounds like you're accepting a chore. You can practically hear a heavy sigh behind it. But I'll take care of it. That is all about taking ownership and projecting confidence. When you say that, your manager hears, I am handling this from start to finish, you don't need to worry about it. It completely shifts your colleague's perception of you from someone who just completes basic chores to a highly capable professional who manages responsibilities. Now let's look at this expression for expressing strong agreement. Instead of the standard, everyday, I agree with you, try this incredibly powerful, formal upgrade. I completely concur with your assessment. This one is absolutely fantastic for formal emails or big presentations. Let's break down the pronunciation and really enunciate those key words. Slowly. I completely concur with your assessment. Now speed it up to a natural, fluent rhythm. I completely concur with your assessment. Let's pause on that word concur, because it's a real game changer to have in your professional toolkit. It simply means to express agreement, approve, or be of the same opinion. The subtle nuance here is that agree is just a common everyday reaction, but concur implies a thoughtful, analytical conclusion. And when you combine it with assessment, which means someone thoughtfully evaluated a situation, you're elevating a simple nod of the head into a sophisticated professional endorsement. You're saying, I've analyzed your thoughts and I formally stand by your conclusion.
So what about when things don't go according to plan? The dreaded default phrase is usually, we have a problem. Let's swap that out for a much more polished alternative. We've encountered an issue. Let's practice delivering this with a really calm, reassuring tone. Nice and slow. We've encountered an issue. And now, smoothly and professionally. We've encountered an issue.
Why does this shift matter so much? Because the word problem literally triggers panic. When you run into a room and say, we have a problem, people's stress levels immediately spike. The sky is falling. But using the phrase encountered an issue sounds objective, controlled, and solution-oriented. Encountered suggests it's just a temporary roadblock we stumbled upon, and an issue feels way more manageable than a problem. It shows real leadership. It tells your team that you are perfectly calm and ready to fix things.
As we wrap up today's lesson, I want you to remember this. Fluency doesn't come from memorizing hundreds of sentences. It comes from understanding and using one sentence correctly every day. You don't need to learn a massive textbook of corporate jargon to sound professional. You just need to take the small, everyday interactions we discussed today and intentionally choose the upgraded version. Consistent, focused practice is the true key to speaking naturally.
So, I'll leave you with this. Which professional phrase will you use today? If you enjoyed today's lesson, don't forget to like this explainer, subscribe to Speak in Style English, and share it with a friend who wants to improve their English. I'll see you in the next lesson with another useful daily life expression. Until then, keep practicing, keep speaking, and keep improving. Goodbye.